of stakes to this first match because both of these teams have already clinched the playoffs, and I don't think that they could really move up or move down besides seeding, but still. And so, to take a quick look at the wider picture for these two teams before we get into this matchup here, Houston has consistently been one of the best teams in the league, one of the best teams in the West, arguably. They have sort of faltered in the past few games. They sort of slowed down, I think. They haven't been as aggressive, they haven't been as strong. And then, meanwhile, Anchorage, you look at the power rankings, Houston's at third. Anchorage took a big tumble after day 20, now down to 10th. They dropped actually 5 seeds after that loss to Vancouver, coupled with a couple of good wins from a lot of the teams that are in the middle of the pack, both on the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. So now Anchorage is sort of fighting to stay in there, dropping quite a bit after their last loss to Vancouver. I think they might be on a losing streak here. I need to go make sure of that. Now, some key players for these two teams. For Houston, we're going to be probably looking out for User. He's won, he's won at least one day MVP. He is consistently performing for them, getting frags, dropping well past 15 in his last game that we saw for Houston, which I believe was actually back on day 20. Went against Ottawa 7-4. For Anchorage, we're really going to be looking for actually probably Dalder. In the last game that we saw from them, he ended up posting actually a 1.45 rating, 17 kills, actually the exact same as we saw from User in his last game. So 2 key fraggers for their two teams. If they can perform, I think we should be in for a good match between these two opponents. Just a quick introduction to myself. I am a Scargo player. I've been here far too long. I would be joined by others tonight, but it appears that they're busy, unfortunately. So, for better or worse, you are all stuck with me here while we get through this this evening of festivities, at least for the first match. But we're already well in the first round. My apologies, and still nothing happening exactly. I'll look over the bans, talk about the map in a moment, but right now, actually, just prep phase. So we've entered the first round, and to talk quickly about the bans, Jackal ban, very standard meta ban. We see the Azami ban as well from User and the rest of Houston. Not very surprised by that. She's a good operator. She is limited by the creativity of the team. She is sort of an architect for the site, creating angles, securing sight lines, so on and so forth. So I think that that's probably a smart ban from them. I do wonder if it's a target ban as well. I don't know exactly how comfortable or how strong Anchorage is with the Azami. On Anchorage's side, we saw a Monty ban from Attack. I am not too surprised. I am a tad surprised, let's be honest here. Monty is a strong operator, but he is very niche. You only see him played by guys that know how to play him and that like to play him. And I don't believe that Anchorage has, or Houston, frankly, have any player that's very strong with Monty, so I don't know why exactly they went. And the Fenrir ban just seems to be a ban of, and there goes User already, about 30 seconds in. That's actually going to be, pardon me, this Archer getting the frag there. First kill of the match, going to go in favor of Anchorage here, as they're already making some good progress, just trying to get this cigar push going. But as I was saying, that Fenrir ban seems to just be we don't want to deal with it, we're going to take it off the board, as there goes ISO as well. Bad start here, it seems, for both sides, really. Losing a key player, Houston losing User, and then tear gassed off the board now, courtesy of, that'll be a tonic, or pardon me, UE, as that Warden just sitting down in bar, able to get a kill. Double kill from Sparks here, as that Solis is going to light up from below, get the kills that they need here. 2v3 situation, however, it'll actually be Archer getting a second kill here onto Grismots. Knocks that Rook off the board here, but still, man advantage is maintained, really, by Houston. That'll be a swing attempted and shut down by UE. Double kill from the Warden, up to just Archer to try and clutch the roundup. Sitting down and Cigar waiting for one spot to swing from the UE, just going to try and return back to site. Now let's watch out, actually, for Sparks returning to objective here, trying to find Archer, does lower him courtesy of SMG-11, tries to leverage it downrange, but UE
gets the 3rd kill for himself in this first round, shuts down Archer, and gets an opening round for Houston. Great start here, I would say, for Houston Havoc. You know, we saw Yui as the Warden, which I'm not a huge fan of Warden. That's a different topic for a different time. But basically, he just sat on bar and then flipped over towards that new hatch side, towards Cigar, and pretty much stopped the entire Anchorage push in its tracks. You know, Sparks as well, playing below with that Solis, I think providing some really vital intel for them and getting some key frags. You know, the fact that even though User was off the board early, even though they lost him, they still managed to very quickly respond by taking down ISO and I think Tear Gas, as well as that Osa and the Ace, getting rid of that primary hard breach, even though they already got the wall open. Combined with that Osa, just made it a lot harder to push through Cigar where it's necessary to have that hard breach utility and to have those Talonate shields to hopefully set up more angles for you to hold. So I think losing that real support base is what sort of threw off Anchorage, especially losing it so early without really responding. Now seeing a basement hold here from Houston, not too surprising. I'm surprised, however, by Sparks as the Doc here. Doc recently got that buff, well, relatively recently got a buff to his pistol, able to now heal a lot more health per shot. So now kind of an actual alternative, as that'll be another spawn peek from Grismots, shut down actually by Kaons. A headshot from the Gridlock, as that'll be actually Tear Gas taking down Sparks, and the GIGN duo is out. The 2 people spawn peeking just got shut down here. Houston now has to pay for their aggression. Likely getting a bit too aggressive here in having 2 players spawn peek. One of which was the only player that could actually heal, and they just lost both of them. They now have to try and hold down Kitchen without any roam presence and starting from a 5v3. They got, I mean, sure, they got the Rook plates, but they didn't get any other utility really from them outside of, you know, some Rook plates and probably a bulletproof and barbed wire. That'll be Chaos with a double kill here. The Gridlock's sort of on a warpath, I'd say, through this top floor. User shut down, 3K from Kaon, as I don't know where Houston has gone. But, I mean, just in Timbuktu, it seems, it's up to just a tonic against the entirety of Anchorage. Does not look good for him, to say the least here. Kaon's just continuing to sort of run the show here. That'll be Archer trying to take down this last player, trying to pick off a tonic. They've lost sight here. Atonic is stuck in coat trying to make this happen, but unfortunately for him, Dalder gets the kill. A flawless round, and what a response from Anchorage. I mean, going from just a mess of an opening round there, losing your hard breach, losing the Osa, you know, losing the man advantage really early and not being able to come back from it, going from that to right after getting a flawless round, in the first 20 seconds, putting your team at a 5v3 situation, which is most of the time insurmountable for the team that gets put into a 2-man disadvantage, let's be honest here, and just sort of decimating that real aggressive Houston playstyle, even if for just a round, is exactly what they needed to do, exactly the way that they needed to respond with that real, you know, just sort of smash mouth mentality. And that's what we saw. Kaon sort of spearheaded it, even though he was the Gridlock, which is a bit surprising to see from a support, but still, you know, clearing out those two spawn peekers, and mind you, basically negating any opportunity that they had to get a pick or to even get damage. So doing that, plus the fact that they picked off User, who was also upstairs, for some reason, I don't know why you would roam in a 3v5, especially roam up on the top floor. Just seems really risky, because you're essentially leaving it to, you know, a 2v4, 2v5 on site. And then simply collapsing the objective, and, you know, there was nothing that Houston could do about it. I think I mean, this has been sort of a ongoing issue for Houston, is that they are aggressive. Most of the time, not all the time, it works for them. Sometimes, it doesn't. We just saw it. They got over-aggressive there. They got overzealous. They tried to do the spawn peek. just, very high risk, high reward play, and it turned out to, go the other way. The other thing is, I mean, just seems to not be a great bit of coordination from them. So I think right now we're having somebody enter a hand cam. Apologies for the wait, ladies and gentlemen. So I think we're just waiting on that, and then we will press forward with the third round of this matchup. But so far, I mean, we're only 2 rounds in. Can't say a whole lot, but seems like a relatively even matchup at this point. We have on one side a team that's jostling for the second seed ideally, and then on the other side you have Anchorage, who have been dealing with some issues, I think, just with coordinating an attack and coordinating as a whole. But still, both of these teams fundamentally are strong, in my opinion, and just trying to really duke it out here. So while we're waiting to talk about these setups and these attacks, they've been very meta. I mean, these are 2 teams that are, as I mentioned, aggressive. They focus on ranked style pushes, ranked style holds. We're not seeing anything beyond spawn peaks. We're not seeing anything too atypical from them. Anything very surprising or anything. It's just sort of on brand pushes of Freezer side, and then whole of Cigar side for Anchorage. For Houston, we just saw the hold there on top floor of pretty much the bar side, and then on
Attackers need to
not
locate
basement,
and
first
defuse
floor,
as
my
many
apologies.
bombs as they can.
Just a real standard hold. They will be going back here. I am curious to see how they adjust, what they adjust. I would like to point out the fact that they have switched off of the castle. They now have probably a more trap and intel heavy lineup here. You have Grismots as that Mozzie looking to get some anti-intel. You have UE with the Warden. Some great intel, assuming that he has to deal with smoke, which I don't think he will, so I don't really understand why he's bringing the Warden, unless it's just for the gun, in which case you probably have better options. You do have Valkyrie, which brings great utility, and those Black Eyes, great intel. And then Atonic as the, is it Atonic? I'm not exactly sure. Apologies if I'm butchering names here.
Attackers are heading out to defuse the
But
bomb.
As that Capcan, probably going to be the thorn in the side of this Anchorage offense. And then the Wamai is what, the Echo, pardon me, though there is also a Wamai here from Sparks, providing some good, just general throw denial. I think that's helpful to really shore up their sight, but they haven't really had a whole lot of challenges on the objective. And then, the Echo of User gonna probably try and deny plants with it, obviously provide some good intel through those yokai drones. So just interesting to see that they've pivoted away from that sort of coat check extension, which we saw very quickly collapsed last round, and it ended with Atonic just sitting in coat check being pressed. And I mean, it's essentially, when you're holding coat check, you're holding for the most part until you die. It's just so hard to get out of there once you start getting pressured, because it's so small and because it's really easy to cut it off. There's just Red Hall and interception, and it's really easy to finish it off, and it's really easy for UE to get a kill. He's already at 4 here, picks off Dalder, gets rid of that fuse. I'm sure that's going to help them out later in the round. Getting rid of those cluster charges, able to free up the site, it seems, especially considering double kill from him. Actually takes down Archer, now looking for the third there, takes a bit of health off of his body there, unfortunately. I think that was ISO chipping him a bit, but still a bit of a scary interaction between those two as UE will fall back here. Still, however, a great start here for Houston. Just a real aggressive roam there all the way on the top floor. Well, sights on basement, or first floor, my apologies. And ended up paying off, getting rid of Archer with that soft reach, getting rid of Dalder, who was also soft reach, let's be honest, but has the very destructive cluster charge, would likely cause a lot of damage and a lot of sort of panic, I would say, or certainly stress to the objective, considering that they don't have a Jaeger and they do have a good bit of utility that they'd like to probably keep hold of. So getting rid of that will certainly free up their objective here. UE lying in wait here on reading. I think waiting at this point for the next player spots. Two of them actually lower. Tear gas going to fall back now. Pulls out the SMG-12. Waiting possibly for ISO to press forward. Waiting maybe for tear gas to try and push him. But at this point, a bit of a standoff here. 45 seconds left. Nitro goes out, but unfortunately flanked actually by Kaons. Gets the headshot on the UE. That'll be Sparks taking down one. Tear gas out of the round. The OSA again off the board here. 30 seconds left, and Anchorage is not anywhere near getting an execute down, it seems. They still, however, have plenty of utility. Now looking to potentially hot drop there. Nitro goes out. Double kill from Atonic. And what a play there from the Kafe to finish it off. He recognized that they were getting ready to drop it and just sent the Nitro out. And made two new members of Team Rocket there out of the remaining players for Houston. Or for Anchorage, my apologies. Getting these two teams confused here. I mean, for Anchorage, just a messy round for them. You know, they don't seem to be able to deal, or they seem unable to deal with Houston's very aggressive roam. You know, UE kind of just went out and played hero there for the first 30 seconds, minute plus. On top floor, you know, a mile away from the objective, but, you know, just able to get those two kills really sort of bolstered their entire round because they didn't have to deal with the fuse and the ash, sort of this fragging edge of Anchorage, which is sort of key to them. And then, you know, just able to continue to waste time over on reading. So he did a great job as the roamer, which is exactly what they needed to win that round. That's sort of what Houston has to crutch on, is their ability to roam. They don't, at least right now, their sights don't seem very good. They don't seem to do a great job on the anchor side of things. But if they can have a strong roam, if they can get a kill or two and waste as much time as they did last round, I mean, he didn't die until less than a minute left. That's an amazing roam for Houston, and so if they can continue to do that, they should be able to prosper here. On the other side, you know, Anchorage needs to do a better job roam clearing. I think they're not not really coordinating it. I don't know if that's an issue of the IGL not calling it or them not droning. Maybe it's both, maybe it's some other issue, but I think that's something that they really need to work on here, is focusing on actually safely and effectively getting rid of these roamers here. I think Tear Gas might be looking to get a bit of a risky play in, using that Gara hook actually to get his way onto Cocktail Balk. They do have the lines that might be helpful for clearing out whatever roamers exist. Tear Gas getting ready to actually Gara in, now gonna go for it. Risking it for the biscuit here. Finds one UE down as well as Atonic. He's onside here, 5v3. That'll be a frag as well for Dolder. And now all of a sudden, I don't know where Houston is. 4v3. That's actually been a 4v2 now. Dolder gets a double kill. Nitro goes out from user. He does get a frag with it as Kaon Pokeball and stopped there in the nick of time by Sparks. Headshot from the soul is able to, luckily for him, get that frag and stop the plant right on default. Gotta be a pretty big mistake there, unfortunately for Anchorage. Triple kill from Dolder. He seems to be the key part of their hold here. That'll actually be a plant going down now by Tear Gas and stopped by Dolder, who essentially was the freight train there for Anchorage. I mean, he did it all. He got the opening kill, he secured White Stairs, and then he just rolled right around to reading. You know, he knew user got that Nitro onto their Twitch and stopped the plant right on default. I think shouldn't have been on default. Should have been somewhere else, maybe on one of the mini bars. So just a kind of a blunder from them, but ultimately they had a 2-man advantage, so they could afford to make some small mistakes like that. And admittedly, a great play there from you. Was it user? It was user. No, it was. Pardon me. It was the Solus of Sparks getting that frag there. Gets the Pokeball out. Got the vertical set. And was able to get the headshot right before plant went down. So that, I think, forced very quick adjustment and very good adjustment, mind you. Both teams played well, I'd say. But, you know, Houston just able to, Anchorage able to quickly adjust themselves and get, you know, another player with diffuser, get plant down. You know, obviously having that buck there, able to just sort of roll around through the objective, and then down to secure, you know, the low side, because we've been seeing, especially on this objective, we've been seeing a lot of vertical play of that Solis from below, in the last round of the Valkyrie from below,
So seeing that, I think,
5 seconds
you know,
remaining.
Anchorage recognized it, and then having Dalter go down there and clear out, you know, right in the nick of time, clearing out that solely there of Sparks, able to secure them around now. As it's actually 2-2 here. These two teams have been so far pretty evenly matched. I am curious to see how this goes. We have seen kind of a shuffle here from the defending team from Houston. They still have, you know, they still have a lot of that core. They still have the Warden. They still have the Mozzie. You know, you have the Doc coming out, but they have a Mira in play. Grismot's running the Vector, the Black Mirrors, and so I am curious to see how this goes for them. You know, Mira is a pretty popular operator to ban here in Hyper Series. I think she is the most banned defender. So I am a bit surprised that she isn't banned. Not too surprised, but I am more surprised to see, or I am more intrigued to see how she would be played. It is a rather standard setup, you know, putting one in washroom, one over by site rotate. The only difference is that the washroom one seems to be more oriented towards stopping a bar push, which has been their focus this whole match on top floor, is stopping a bar push from Anchorage, while it's normally actually oriented towards Cigar. So putting down that extra, you know, the extra reinforcements and tilting it towards bar to maybe make that a bit harder here for the attacking team for Anchorage to push, because that's been the way that Anchorage has gone every single round, is taking Cigar and pushing onto bar for a plant on default, which is exactly well covered here by the mirror window. We see it there, actually operated currently by Grismot. So that's going to be actually a frag going out. UE able to shut down tear gas there. Unfortunately for the Buck, unable to get any soft reach done. Really, Nitro actually vertical play going out. Grismot gets one. That'll be a kill from Sparks. Say Less picks off UE, trades out the Warden here, but not a great situation. User lying below, waiting for another frag for himself. Dim goes out for Sparks, gonna heal himself back up after his last engagement. As ISO and Dalter, the last two left here, Dalter is kind of stuck in no man's land. They're outnumbered. User's still below. He doesn't have Nitro double kill from Grismot now, as Dalter's left pretty much stranded here. I don't think he even knows where User is. He's lost his last teammate who was trying to push without him. So just a bit of miscoordination, I'd say. Kind of a lost opportunity to maybe get something to happen, and User just hits Dalter right in the back, who didn't even pay attention to it, and able to just quickly get the backstab, get the frag. Get another round here for Houston, who will look to get this 4-2 split in their favor. So far, we've seen these two teams trading rounds, but we are now seeing a first floor hold here from Houston. They now have an opportunity to, you know, to get a round win and put themselves at advantage going into the second half. I think the key for them to win this site is going to be the roam game. They are 1-1 on this objective. The round that they won was mainly because UE did some heroics on the top floor, got 2 frags, wasted a lot of time, and so they sort of forced Anchorage to rush, or he kind of forced Anchorage to rush, and that opened up, you know, the Nitro kill from Atonic on Freezer Hatch, just to collect 2 quick kills and put the round to bed. The round that they lost was because they brought 2 guys that didn't bring a whole lot of utility, and they had them both spawn peak, and they both died very quickly without doing jack, and as a result, they just sort of collapsed. That, plus they had a 3rd guy roaming, which this is not a map where you need... You never need 3 players roaming, to be honest, unless you're doing some sort of SSG-style heavy roam, which even then I would, you know, object to doing that. But you don't need that many players on this map. It's, even though there are plenty of nooks and crannies, it is still a rather crammed map. So you don't need to have that many players roaming. Just have one good guy roaming. Maybe you can have some players, you know, near site, holding down some key points such as Bakery or Coat Check. But you don't need 2 guys to keep roaming all the way on top floor here. So as you can see, Sparks actually, as I mentioned, holding down Bakery. We do see this extension for them. Strangely enough, they didn't cover small Bakery wall. It does open up
potentially some ways here that Sparks could get fragged, considering that that is exposed for them. And I think he's going to have to rely really on prep assistance from the user. That'll actually be double kills here for Houston. Sparks and Hughes are able to be a 1-2 punch there for the Havoc. That'll be Grismont with a third kill. Kaons, Tear Gas, and Daughter all out of the round. So, you know, you lose your top frag. You lose your secondary support. You lose intel. There goes another player. That'll be Grismont with a double kill at the castle here. Very good support for Sparks. A flawless round, actually, as that'll be the Valkyrie, speak of the devil, getting the second kill for himself and putting this round away, getting his team a 4-2 split at half. But as I was saying, I mean, it just all went downhill there for Anchorage. They lost two players at the very beginning of them pushing into Bakery. You know, losing your intel, losing your top frag, losing a really good support in the Capital, losing your secondary support with the Thatcher, and then they just couldn't do anything. You know, Houston, very aggressive there. I think they had all of their players sitting around Bakery. You know, you had Sparks in Bakery itself, User sort of supporting from prep. You had, I think, Kaons or Grismots sitting over by Small Bake to cover the sort of the flank of Sparks. And so having all those players over there can be a risk, but turned out to be a pretty big reward there, lying in wait for Houston in just winning those gunfights and ravaging, really, the Anchorage offense, securing themselves a 2-round lead at half, essentially. You know, just was a bit intrigued to see how they held it, because they didn't have those reinforcements down. They didn't really do the way that it should be done, in my opinion. You know, they exposed that soft wall there, which if, the key word is if, Anchorage had got that open and had pushed into Small Bake, could have easily set up a flank or even a crossfire there on Sparks on Bakery. And they didn't have any throwable denial. Or if they did, they didn't have it positioned with Sparks to stop him from getting fragged out, it appeared. So they played it, I mean, they played risky, but it ended up paying off for them because they won their gunfights here. And that's been really integral to their play and real integral to their success, is that they can win gunfights. It doesn't matter, rain or shine, whatever conditions they're in, they seem to be able to do it. And so for Anchorage, I mean, now they're switching to defense. They have to take kind of a page, in my opinion, from the now attacking team from Houston. They probably need to be getting a bit more aggressive, need to be making Houston work and wasting their time and their utility. Interesting to see UE in play here as the Dokkaebi. We don't have the Jackal. You know, Houston banned that. So I think Dokkaebi is going to be their key for clearing out the roam. That'll be actually Sparks getting a frag onto Tear Gas. Sends out the aforementioned frag to take down that Mozzie there. Unfortunately for Anchorage, and ending up losing a lot of potential utility there, I'd say. Grismont takes some damage. ISO is fragged out. That'll be Yui sliding over, getting a kill there. User as well with one. That'll be Yui shut down. Archer trying to hold down the line, sends out one, takes a double kill for himself. Looking for the third here, possibly. Spots one, 3K, shuts down the swing there from Grismots. Looking for a fourth now. User, Atonic, Dalder, Archer, the last four left for these two teams. 1v2 now. Archer trades him out. Quad kill from Archer. That'll actually be User taking down Dalder, so it's up to just the Twitch and Archer looking for the ace here, lying in wait in Cigar. I don't know if User's aware, sends the drone out, baits him out, but ace from Archer! Swings him, catches him unaware, gets the headshot, secures a key round here for Anchorage, puts them one closer to tying back up now, 4-3, still losing, unfortunately for them, but my oh my, Archer have a day. I mean, he carried that round. But simply, for Anchorage, he held down a real key area, you know, top of White as well as Whitehall, was able to stymie their push there. The Houston sort of crowded around Whitehall door, and none of them were able to finish him off. I would say that they had openings to put more pressure on him, look for another angle or something. And they had, mind you, a good situation. They were in, what, 5v2, 4v2? So they had the numbers. They just gave a bunch of 1v1s to a single guy.
And I mean, that's a prime example of how not to play a man advantage. Especially one that's rather heavy in your favor, you know, a 4v1, 3v1. You don't want to give that last player a bunch of solo gunfights. You want to be, especially if you're on defense, you want to be playing on for time, but regardless, you want to be looking for crossfires. You want to be looking to force that player to make a choice as to which gunfight to take, and then look for that kill on the other one. Because if you're giving them a bunch of 1v1s, sure, you might eventually win one of them, but it's a lot easier for them to win that than a 1v2 gunfight. And so I think that's what really cost Houston the round there, is just that they sort of got ahead of themselves on the push, crowded around in Cigar, and gave a lot of 1v1s up to Archer there for those frags and for the round. I think just the other thing to keep in mind is that they didn't really have much of a push beyond Cigar. You know, they were pushing Cigar shop, it seems, towards bar, but most of their effort, most of their attention was on that Cigar side towards washroom. And so even though they were able to capitalize on some angles that Anchorage set up that they weren't paying attention, that Anchorage wasn't paying attention to, and to take down those anchors, you know, they just ultimately, I think, kind of forgot to really support the push here. ISO trying to get a frag here early. They've surrendered Bakery. They're not holding it at all. They just sort of set up shop, and I think ISO is looking to maybe get a quick pick here for his team, but unfortunately unable to find anyone. Knows, however, that there are Houston players among him. Now that wall will be opened, a tonic fragged by Say Less ISO, who's going to hold the line here on that cooking side now, waiting potentially for this Houston push, which seems to have sort of coagulated in the prep area, in the cooking area, quickly down and out courtesy of User, takes his head straight off there. And now he's taken prep, I think an impact going out there to provide some vertical angles for the defense here, but Daughter, maybe the next line of defense, maybe the last line of defense is, I don't seem to see any other players here for Anchorage on the objective, which is rather strange. I would assume and hope that they have players above looking to do vertical work, but they don't seem to have it. That'll be Sparks taken down. UE takes down Kaon, 3v3 situation now. UE trying to push on the site, trying to get rid of Dollar, trying to clear out this objective and just have to worry about the vertical aspect, which they have neglected so far. That'll actually be UE taken down by Dollar, holding down the line here, setting the buck stops here. That'll be Grismoth trying to get the crowd going here. Takes the headshot. That'll be a double kill actually from the Flores, looking for the third here. Archer, the last one left, coming hot off a 1v2, a 1v5, mind you, and an ace last round. Now, as User looks for the plant, will likely stick it here. Archer unable to stop it. Grismoth's covering and waiting here. Spots Archer, trying to take him down, does chip some damage off of him. Spots User, 1v1 now between Archer and Grismoths here, trying to clutch this round up. The post-plant situation, trying to get this defused maybe. Starting it, Grismoth's rushing around, trying to stop him here. Will swing around, and I think Archer's sticking it, and unfortunately for him, Grismoth's right in the nick of time, able to get the kill and stop the counter defuse there for Anchorage. You know, put this 2-round advantage back in place here for the Havoc. Now, Houston seemed to be finding their rhythm here on attack. They did give up that round at the start. Pretty big mistakes there in the last round, or in that round. In the last round, just a rather clean round, I'd say. You know, they didn't pay attention to vertical, which was, I think, the key mistake, because the hold there from the approach, really, from Anchorage was very heavily vertical based. You know, they have the Jaeger above, they have Solis with impact above, setting up sight lines, and using that Specchio to find the electronics, probably find the diffuser. That's how they took down Sparks when he was trying to plant, is because he was spotted on the Specchio. Or Spec-IO, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. My apologies if I butcher every single name here. But, you know, didn't do them any favors, really, that they completely ignored vertical. But the fact that they took over site so quickly, mainly because of the fact that there was nobody on site, really, you know, ISO getting picked off without doing much, frankly. I think he got 1 kill and then got taken out. And then, Dalder getting a kill later in the round, stopping UE, which was valuable for Anchorage, with all due respect, but, not having a real presence on site to try and keep it shut down sort of harmed the defending team, and now harmed to the attacking team going out. Sparks taken down by Say Less ISO, probably hearing what I'm saying and trying to prove me wrong, or maybe motivating himself from some in-game comms. That'll be tear gas getting probably gonna use her. Now the fragging edge here of the attacking team all but gone. Double kill from ISO, takes down a Tonic. The hard breach out of the round now. Unfortunately, tear gassed as well as taken out. They do lose that plant denial with those yokai drones. But an equally important frag, if not more important, is they took down a Tonic. They took down their only hard breach. They now can no longer take Bakery Wall. They can't take Freezer Wall. They can't take Red Hall Wall. They can't take any of the walls that surround this objective. They now have to proceed through whatever they're given, which is mainly these doors, a couple soft walls. They still have Grismots and UE, who both have soft reach. They can still get through castle barricades. They can still get through some soft walls. But, not being able to just punch a hole right into Bakery like they did last round is definitely going to slow them down here, is definitely going to make their push a bit more one-dimensional and harm them. That'll be triple kill from ISO. He does take down Grismots there, and will capitalize on just a sort of mental crossfire there. Don't think Grismots really paid attention to that side, both in droning and in actually pushing it, and so able to capitalize on some poor effort to detail. UE takes a double kill for himself here. 1v2 situation, a minute left. UE, ISO, Archer, key players for these two teams. UE already at double digits here for his team, leading them in terms of frags. ISO, key part of their anchor, and then Archer, the top frag for Anchorage. And so just some key players here trying to duke it out. UE trying to overcome this man deficit. He does have Diffuser. He does have some drones left by his teammates. He's trying to sort of play these two angles at the same time over on Prep side. But so far, no dice here. Does run past ISO, spots him, lowers him a tad, swings, triple kill for UE. ISO, however, shuts him down. Says, "You shall not pass." Does a Gandalf here, holds the line on the objective, and continuing to trade rounds here, 5-4. Houston still leads, but only by 1. Again, UE playing kind of frisky there, pushed into Prep, almost into 2 sightlines at once between that big window on Prep and Prep door to cooking. Tried to find ISO, did spot him, lowered him, but then, saw the swing coming in from his teammate Archer. Archer was just, postcard straight to the face.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Took his head right off. But luckily ISO was there to stop UE from getting a 4K. Says that you can't match the greatness of Archer in getting those big rounds of, Archer got the ace. I'm joking here that, saw an attempt to match that really from UE with the 4K. And ultimately in the battle of Clash of the Titans, you could say, if you wanted to, make a movie reference between the two top frags of these two teams, Archer able to get not Archer, pardon me, Say Less able to hold the line, or not the top frag, but, between a top frag and a top frag. UE ended up prevailing there, and then traded out, Say Less ISO sort of being the cleaning crew for this Anchorage team on the objective, able to be a very dependable anchor for Anchorage, no pun intended, and so was successful in just holding down the line, and that's how he's been throughout this. He's the second frag at this point in time for them, and he has been for a while, just consistently able to get kills and do whatever's really needed of them, from my understanding of how they operate. ISO trying to now hold down this washroom side. We do see a cigar hold here, or cigar-centric hold for the Avalanche. Just a real meta play from them. Not too surprised. UE gonna send out one of those Doke calls, trying to maybe get some intel here
figure out a roamer or two, if there are any, for Anchorage. But so far, just unable to really find anything. Taking out some utility here, trying to clear the way. ISO is taken down, however, by Grismonts there. The Nomad plays that long angle, able to get the headshot. Now he's going to seemingly start this push now onto the cigar side. Aware of the utility that's been poured onto this cigar area. Tear gas falls back a bit. Now going to try and probably replace ISO. Archer out of the round now. That throw of a denial duo out and down for the count, pardon me. I'm jumbling up phrases here as I'm trying to put in words here what Atonic is doing. He does take down Teargast as Houston is back in action, it seems. Again, looking for another round. Again, looking to put this to 6-4, put this to a match point situation. 5v1, this seems all but given here. Atonic will take down one. Kaons gets a headshot, trades out Grismonts here. He's the last one left, however, for this Anchorage defense. Spots one, takes him out. Traded, however, by User. Kaons takes down UE. You know, as we see here in this replay, Houston pushes into Cigar, trying to find this last player. Got the plant down. Real textbook round for them, and ultimately able to get the trade, play the numbers, put themselves at match point. And now they're eyeing 3 more points here. They have a 6-4 lead. They have a good window now to put this match away, and they have been doing well so far. Admittedly, the pattern seems to be that Houston and Anchorage trade rounds, with Houston leading. So if that pattern continues, we would see 6-5, and then Houston puts it away. But I'm not exactly sure. So just a reminder for you all at home, Houston currently in second in the West, tied with Vancouver with 23 points. If Houston wins this here, or if they even bring it to overtime, they do get some points. They do put a push forward from Vancouver, break that tie in their favor. I do not know when Vancouver plays next, but Vancouver would likely look to catch up. If, however, we see a clutch here from Anchorage, we would see actually just 1 round or 1 point gain for Houston. But at this point, Houston, they have match point. They've been doing very well on defense here, and they guarantee themselves overtime. No matter what, they will get a point from this game. They might get 2, they might get 1, they might get 3. It's looking like it's going to be 3, even though they're on a weak site here in Reading and Fireplace. But still, I'm curious to see how this goes for them. They're running similar to a typical hold of that top floor as vertical extension. They have the mirror in play, however, which is sort of unusual. It does necessitate that they open up some more walls, create some more sight lines. I think that they're banking here that will make Houston uncomfortable, and will cost them more, because they've made this rather open. You know, they have these sight lines here. They have these mirror windows set up. They have that rotate over on the cocktail side. They have all this set. Now they just have to see if that works. Archer is taken down. Might be the beginning of the end here. Double kill for Houston. 3. Yui with 2 kills of his own here. Onto Kaon. Onto Dalder. ISO is out. Yui with a 3K here. And now might be up to just tear gas with the match on the line. Hurts himself with a nitro. And that essentially encapsulates this game here. Atonic able to pick him off there. Tear gas is killed. And the game is won for Houston, 7-4 on Kafe over Anchorage. Anchorage just unable to really keep up with Houston's real aggressive play style and fast pace. And so we will see Houston picking up 3 points, picking up the